It's an unfortunate reality that we live in, that we exist in, that the more fun a job is, the less it gets paid, at least at first. And this makes perfect sense if you're an economist. If a job is fun and people are willing to do it for fun, meaning that they don't have to be financially incentivized to do it, there's going to be a high supply of workers for that job. The demand, no matter how high the demand might be for people that play frisbee golf or underwater basket weave or play guitar in front of audiences or do stand-up comedy or etc., no matter how much demand there is for that, if people are willing to do it for free, if enough people are willing to do it for free, then that supply of labor is going to outstretch the demand such that there's no reason to pay somebody to do that job. And we see examples of this everywhere. Zero pay is a little bit exaggerated, but you get the idea with something like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, who there's a wonderful documentary on Netflix that kind of goes behind the scenes, and you learn that these women are paid essentially nothing to be some of the most tried and tested professionals when it comes to cheerleading in the world, world-renowned, famous, and they're paid essentially nothing. And that's because the league doesn't have to pay them to do anything. They're willing to do it for essentially free. They are paid something. In fact, I believe they are sued because somebody did the math and they were being paid less than minimum wage if you looked at the hours that they were working and training and etc., and then how much they're actually getting paid. And so they had to adjust their pay just so that they could get paid minimum wage. But can you imagine that? Being a professional cheerleader on one of the most famous teams in the world and being paid less than minimum wage. And we see this in lots of areas of the world. I mean, maybe not as egregious as something like being a cheerleader on the Dallas Cowboys, but you think of all of the free effort that goes into creating music, writing books, people who write books and publish them for basically free on Amazon or whatever. And they're hoping that they make it big and they get paid for their effort, but certainly not guaranteed. People who create mods for video games. If you're a gamer, you know that there is a legion of people willing to put in an extravagant amount of effort to create some of the most amazing video games ever built upon a previously existing video game, and they're willing to do it for free. It explains in part, once again, this isn't a measure of if this is good or bad, if the world should be this way or shouldn't. This is talking about the way the world is. And it's no surprise if people are willing to do extravagant mods for free that video game developers are not paid very well. It's a fun job. Not that the actual job is fun. Those people are overworked and they are underpaid. Absolutely. But the reason for that is because a lot of people are willing to be video game developers and are willing to do it and be underpaid. And if there's enough people willing to do it and not get paid enough, that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's talk about Magic the Gathering and talk about selling Magic cards or working with Magic cards or opening a local game store. How fun is it to sell Magic cards? You might say, oh, it's not that fun. And you'd be wrong because it's actually a blast. I love it. I was thinking about it the other day because, cards on the table. I would be a YouTuber if I could just be a YouTuber. I'm not just a YouTuber. I am a strategy analyst at a decent company, and I make great money doing that. But I love YouTube. I love making videos. And I make videos for basically free. I do receive financial support from my patrons, which is super appreciated. Of course, it wasn't that way at first. But even so, when I got started, and when you get started in anything that is fun, that lots of people want to pursue, which, by the way, selling Magic cards or opening a Magic game store or whatever falls into this bucket, is that there's people that are just willing to do it almost just for the fun of it. The number of game store owners that work tirelessly, 80 plus hour weeks to keep a store afloat because they like opening a store and keeping it afloat. It's because they have passion. It's because they have drive. It's because they enjoy the thing and they're willing to put in that effort if that's what it takes. You compare this with something like nobody gets passionate about geologic thermal science, right? Like nobody's like, oh my gosh, I would do that for free. You know, nobody gets passionate about B2B logistics by waterways across the Atlantic. You know, nobody's like, oh yeah, I do that for free. No, they're like, if you want a job like a 9 to 5 that pays well, find something that is boring, uninteresting, that's like, it's like you're vomiting when you say it, you know? That's the kind of stuff that people don't want to do. And guess what? Those kind of jobs pay great. They pay great day one. And you don't even have to be that good at them because there's so few people willing to do them that to get somebody to do it, you got to pay them. You got to pay them good money. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, there's things like opening a Magic the Gathering store or just selling cards out of your basement. There's a lot of people, not too many. There's definitely opportunity. I'm not saying that this space is extra saturated such that there's no money to be made. That's not the case at all. In fact, I, as a fairly, I don't know if I'd say introverted, but I'm not cutting deals. I'm not like messaging everyone on Facebook every day being like, hey, sell me your collection. That's certainly not the case. But I find quite a bit of success buying collections, selling Magic cards, using tools like toploaded.io or Anon's EV tracker to find stuff with inverted expected value, buying and then ripping it open and selling the cards. Like I do this all and I'm quite successful at it. Not, and there's nothing special about me. So there is opportunity here. But what is my point? My point is that if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is a great way to make money, I can just like do this without the passion, then you're wrong. It'd be akin to saying like, oh, you know, it's a great way to make money, YouTube. I see these YouTubers and they make videos and they make tons of money. So it's going to be great. That's not the case. I mean, there's tons of YouTubers that do make tons of money. That is true. But it takes a long, long time of making no money. And having like little to no support. You've got to make like a lot of mediocre videos before you start making good ones. And similarly, if you're going to open up your online card store, if you're going to be a basement seller, if you're going to buy commander decks and rip them open and sell singles, you're going to make some bad plays. You're going to have some collections that you break even on. You're going to, if you do the math of exactly how much time you're putting and exactly how much you're getting paid those first couple weeks, you might not like what you learn. So Nick, why do you do it? If it's, you know, or why did you keep doing it if it's kind of a slog? Well, I enjoy it. It's the same reason I do YouTube, fundamentally. There could be zero financial incentive. I was talking with another YouTuber friend of mine today. I would shout him out, but he'd actually get upset because the YouTube algorithm punishes you if you get random subscribers from people that aren't actually interested in your topic. So I was talking with him today, and both of us agreed that like even if we had zero support, we would make videos. Making a video and having 50 people watch it is incredible. That is so cool, in my opinion. And I get more than 50 views on videos now, thank heavens. But it's, you know, I'm never not going to be grateful for just the opportunity to make a video that people watch. Like I taught classes in college, and to have 50 people voluntarily watch you talk about something you're interested in and passionate about is quite a treat. And so, yeah, I'm very happy to make YouTube videos. Similarly, with selling Magic cards. Like, it sounds kind of ridiculous, and part of it is the money, but I find it thrilling that I can buy a collection, pocket a card for one of my commander decks, sell the other cards, make money on it. And yes, does it take time? Like I said, if you take like the time that it takes to source the collection, drive out to buy it, bring it home, sort it, scan it, list it, sell it. You have to refund or do a partial refund because one of the cards you listed as near mint is actually moderately played. You know, if you dive into all those details, you're probably going to be disappointed with what you find. But what I have found, and what I imagine a lot of other happy, successful TCG sellers have found, is that the way you're able to just like turn on YouTube and listen to a podcast or whatever while you're sorting and packing cards, the way that you're able to do it flexibly early in the morning or late at night, whenever your kids or parents or whatever, whoever you live with are asleep, and just make money. You know, is it the best way to make money in the world? No, absolutely not. And that's because it's fun. And the fun things are never going to be the best way in the world to make money. But if you enjoy it, if you find it fun, it's rewarding. It's pretty cool. And it can turn into, you know, at the beginning of the video, I said that the fun things are never going to pay well at first. And that's true. If you open up a magic store or you basement sell or whatever, you are not going to start out being super successful. But if you keep at it, and you can go big. I mean, you can go big. Rob with RNG Games talks about how you can make 100 grand a year selling bulk, just listing all the cards that nobody wants, but also some cards people want. You need to have some good stuff in there. You can't just have the rough stuff. But that's my opinion anyway. And you can make 100 grand, net yourself 100 grand, pocket 100 grand, working, you know, and that's not going to be 40 hours a week. That's going to be certainly like 60 hours a week at first or whatever, but you can do it. There's YouTubers out there that are doing it. Goodness, Phantom collects, or it's Phantom Cards, something like that. A guy does Pokemon and Magic, and he is doing it. He's literally started just a few months ago selling cards, and tell you what, his ROI for the first weeks, and you can follow his journey video by video. It's pretty cool, but his ROI is not incredible, right? At first, but now he just closed like a lease on a space. He is expanding. He's getting a Fizzbatch machine. Like, he's going big, and he's going to make good money. I mean, he is making good money, but he's reinvesting it, right? He's going to make good money. And it's because he's taken this very seriously and done a lot of work for very little pay for quite some time. And so that's the deal. That's the secret. You got to love it. You got to be passionate about it. You got to be willing to put in work that doesn't necessarily pay out in big ways at first, but you can get there. You can also just do it on the side. I'm a big fan of just like, hey, you're bored of a commander deck, sell it on TCG Player, get some of that money back and go back and buy something new. You know, you don't have to go big and bold with it, but you can. And so that's all. Thanks again to my patrons who support me. Thanks to the watchers, viewers. Thank you for being here, and subscribe.